In a small town in Alabama, surrounded by fading houses and long-forgotten dreams, lived a boy named Caleb. Life hadn't given him much. His clothes were hand-me-downs. His shoes had duct tape holding the soles together. And his father was the janitor at the local high school. Every morning at 4:30, Caleb would watch his dad walk out the door with a mop in one hand and hope in the other. He'd clean the same hallways where kids ignored him, sometimes mocked him, and where not a single soul knew his name. But to Caleb, his father was a hero. They didn't have much. Some nights, dinner was just canned beans and leftover school sandwiches his dad brought home. Their apartment had no heating during winters and no AC in the blazing southern summers. But what they did have was pride. Caleb was 14, and he'd already learned more about life than most kids twice his age. There were no complaints, no why us, just silent grit. Every afternoon, after school, Caleb would wait in the empty gym while his dad finished his shift. He didn't mind, it was quiet, and it gave him time to do one thing he loved more than anything else: speak. He'd stand in front of the mirror in the boys' locker room, pretending it was a camera or a crowd or a classroom. He wasn't just playing, he was practicing. He'd say things like, "You can be more than where you come from. You don't need to be rich to be heard." Words poured out of him like poetry, even though no one was listening. But in his head, he was speaking to the world. One day, while helping his dad clean classrooms, Caleb found a book someone had left behind. Speak Like a Leader. The cover was torn, pages stained, but to Caleb, it was treasure. That night, under a flickering desk lamp, Caleb read every page out loud. He didn't understand all the words, but he repeated them, practiced them, owned them. He started watching speeches on his dad's old phone. Obama, Martin Luther King, Steve Jobs. He didn't have internet, so he'd download clips at school using free Wi-Fi and replay them at night, studying every pause, every breath, every gesture. One day in class, the teacher asked for volunteers for the school's speech competition. Nobody raised their hand until Caleb did. The room fell silent. The janitor's kid? Really? Kids laughed. One whispered, "He's gonna embarrass himself." But Caleb walked up, his heart pounding, his palms sweating, and said, "I may not look like your typical speaker, but I've got something to say." For the next 3 minutes, you could hear a pin drop. His words weren't fancy. His grammar wasn't perfect, but he spoke with fire, with honesty, with something most people had lost: realness. When he finished, there was silence. Then applause. Then a standing ovation. That night, his teacher called his father. She said, "Your son didn't just give a speech, he lit the room on fire." From that day forward, everything changed. Caleb was invited to speak at other schools, then local events. A nonprofit saw a video of his speech online and offered him a scholarship to attend a youth leadership program in Washington, D.C. It was his first time leaving the state. He stepped on a plane wearing his dad's old suit and a clip-on tie. And when he stood in front of a crowd of 300 young leaders from all over the country, he said, "You don't need a perfect background to speak with power. You just need the courage to speak at all." The audience erupted. He wasn't just a speaker anymore. He was a voice, a force, a symbol of what belief can do. Over the next few years, Caleb spoke at over 50 schools. He started an online channel called Voice from the Basement, filmed right from his tiny bedroom, where he helped other kids overcome fear, find confidence, and share their stories. He didn't charge a dime. He didn't chase followers. He just gave like his dad did, quietly, humbly. By the time he turned 20, he had spoken at 2 national conferences, won youth leadership awards, and was being mentored by some of the best speakers in the country. But he still lived in the same apartment, still wore secondhand suits, still helped his dad clean the school every weekend, because Caleb knew where you start is never a limit. It's just the beginning. One day, a reporter asked him, "What made you believe in yourself when no one else did?" He smiled. "My father did. He believed not with words, but with work. He never spoke much, but he showed me what real strength looks like, showing up even when no one claps for you." Today, Caleb is known as the janitor's son who spoke to a nation. Not because he had the best voice, but because he had something more rare: A reason to rise, a reason to reach, a reason to speak, not from ego, but from experience. His story reminds us you don't need money to be powerful. You don't need perfection to be respected. And you don't need a stage to start. You just need a voice. So if you're ever sitting in silence, doubting yourself, thinking the world doesn't see you, remember Caleb, the boy with taped up shoes, a borrowed book, and a voice that changed lives. Because greatness doesn't come from where you are. It comes from what you choose to become. Believe, speak, rise,